My name is Baxter. I'm a plumbing tutor assessor here at ERR. Came into the plumbing industry at 15 years of age. First started out as a commercial pipe fitter's mate, and then transferred over to an apprenticeship when I was at the end of that year when I was 15. So completed my apprenticeship. So did a 4-year apprenticeship. Finished at 19. Worked in the industry, mainly domestic plumbing, right through the 70s till the early 80s. Become self-employed. Had my own business. Run that quite successfully. And then latter years, what I've tended to find is that as you wear out over the years with your knees and your back, I was just looking for something like a role, which is a bit easier on the body. So I then went into teaching, and so started teaching at further education college, working with youngsters. After a couple of years working with the youngsters, I then come into working with adults, which is what I'm doing now at ERR. Yeah, so working with adults here, and when they're coming in and doing a course, they all seem that more committed. They're obviously paying a fee for the training. What we try to do here is give them the skills to enable them to go into the industry and work alongside somebody to where they can actually then, as well as having the qualifications, become better qualified, more experienced. We find that we get adults here that do sort of get a bit concerned about maybe taking that little wage drop for a while, where they make that transition into sort of picking up more experience on site. I think if we do take a bit of time with them here and we sort of show them how to do things like pipe bending skills, soldering, working with steel pipe work, if they get a good grasp of that knowledge, it makes it a lot more probably simpler for them to then sort of, to make that sort of transgression into sort of becoming a fully qualified plumber. So by completing a level 2 and a level 3 qualification, to be honest, we normally find most students by the time they're doing the level 3 have come across to getting a job in the industry. They're getting more interest, and with these skills that they get, that enables them to go out and install things. So a level 3 qualification, they'll do things like an unvented exam, which will then give them a qualification or a card to say that they're qualified to install on a G3 certificate, unvented hot water systems. Enables them to join a competent person scheme and sort of self-certify their installation themselves. And you normally find by the time they get to level 3, they've got a good knowledge that even if they're not employed at that stage, they can then go into a job, just get a bit more practical experience with whoever they're working with, and be very competent. And that's probably the enjoyable part about the job, is actually see people succeed and do it. I do find that most people, after picking up enough experience, do want to start their own business, go self-employed, or even go self-employed and subcontract with a main plumbing contractor. And this is quite achievable. It's quite rewarding. You can build a good business, get a good income. We've even had people that come here that actually, while they're doing the course, they might have maybe had a redundancy payout where they've already bought their van. They're out there, they've started themselves doing small jobs, maybe sort of replacing taps, float valves, and work their way up to maybe installing a basin, a sink, and then progress onto bathroom suites. And they've gone and started working in the industry themselves, and as well as getting their qualifications, getting some experience out in the industry. Majority of the time, people will want to work alongside someone to get that experience, and it is very rewarding towards the end if you get that experience. You start your own business, and you'll find that you make a very good income from the plumbing industry. So as things do change, and as the government have their targets where they're looking to move nearer towards the renewables, installing heat pumps, you'll find that the skills that they've sort of picked up already will probably enable them to be able to go and carry out that sort of work. But also don't forget that we've got 24 million dwellings in this country. A lot of them have got, so I don't know, let's pick a number, so 18 million of them have got sort of like gas or central heating systems. There's still going to be a lot of traditional work out there where you're still working on gas boilers, gas installations, or oil, installing hot and cold water systems. So it's going to be a combination of the two until it gets to that time where renewables then start, sort of being installed on a larger scale. But at the moment we're probably only building somewhere between 150, 200,000 new properties, a year, which is not, and when you look at it and put it in perspective, it's not a great deal really, when we're moving towards our new installations, obviously sort of, using renewable technology. Yeah, there's always going to be plenty of work, whether it's more traditional plumbing, heating and gas or new work. There's a wide variety of tasks they can do. Some people just tend to want to install bathroom suites. Some will go along the kitchen fitting line. Some will love doing heating installations, going and getting their gas qualifications, doing a lot of gas work. And then some are really targeting renewables. And again, that's going to be something for the future, for the next generation really. We get quite a few females come through as well. And amazing, I think there's still this, when it comes to gender, there's still this thing about thinking, oh, it's quite a tough job plumbing and it's quite tricky. But to be fair, virtually every female that we've had come through, every girl, lady that's come through and done it, they've been really good. They're better at the chaps, I think, at doing revision for exams. They want to make sure that they don't fail any of these exams, and also technically, some of these girls come in and they do a really good job. So it's really, I think it removes the myth of, I think, that sort of women struggle to do more of a physical job really. Well, the short courses that are out there are probably good for a bit of experience, and maybe if you want to do a bit of DIY at home and that's all you want. But really, if you want to go into the industry and get a qualification, you really need to come in and get your qualifications, your exams, pass your level 2, level 3 exams, get that experience out on site. You need to combine that alongside work whenever you can with anybody that you might know of already. But also, you really need to put time and effort in. And hopefully, as I say here, the main thing is teaching the skills properly, and that has to be done over a period of time. It can't be rushed. We're assessing these people to make sure that they're actually doing something correctly and to the requirements City and Guilds want, meeting those standards, every time they do these assessments. And there's no shortcuts really. And if people expect to do 2 or 3 weeks training somewhere and become a plumber, it's not going to happen. You'll gain a bit of experience, but really you need to, what counts is combining this qualification that you do here, so the theory and the practice, and combine them with what you're going to learn out on the job and getting practical experience really. Because some people haven't got the confidence until they go work alongside someone, but usually by the time they've got to level 3, they've gained that experience, and probably the majority will feel confident to go out and do that. And by what I've seen of the guys that train here in this centre, we ensure that they, as I say, when they pass these assessments, they're doing them correctly. So they should be able to sort of transfer that over into the real world when they're installing something. But you're learning all the time, even if you're an experienced plumber. I've been, as I say, in the industry for 50 years now, and there's still things that I learn now. New things coming out all the time, and you never know it all. But it's just getting a good grasp really of as well as your practical knowledge. You can be a good practical plumber, but you need to back it up with the theoretical knowledge, which will come into things like unvented systems, central heating systems. Yeah, so with the theory and the practical videos that Simon's done online, it's a big help to the students rather than just reading from a book, having a look through a book. The book's great, or even going online smart screen and helping you study, but actually having someone demonstrate and maybe do a classroom environment where they're actually explaining things. That's the main thing we find here, is actually explain to students. Sometimes they've got an idea of how to do something or how it should be carried out, but sometimes they need that extra explanation, and also to actually then, even if they've seen it carried out practically, to actually carry it out themselves, because it's never the same as watching someone, but it does give them a better idea. I think at ERR that that's an extra asset that maybe other training centres haven't got, where people are coming in cold, maybe just read a few books, on the theory knowledge, and then they're coming in cold on the practical. At least, if they've actually seen the videos, that's going to give them an idea of how to carry out these tasks practically.